Session 9, Analyzing Smaller Moments to Get Even More Insight into Characters. Readers, I'm so happy of the work you were doing yesterday, looking into the books and the characters live like little windows, letting the light in to see who these characters really are. Then something happened yesterday that made me realize that this is even bigger than the stories we're reading. This is a book thing, but it's also a life thing. There are moments in our lives with real people where we find ourselves stopping and thinking, oh wow, I really see you now. So yesterday I went to my Opa's house, and my Oma, who has had a hip replacement, has trouble walking. She wanted something from the kitchen, so she got up, but she's very shaky on her feet, so she leaned on the arm of her chair, and then in a second my Opa was there, out of his seat at her side. My Oma took his arm, and the two of them walked so slowly, painfully, into the kitchen. And that was it. That's all that happened. But I was thinking about it, and I realized that moment struck me because my Opa is usually, well, to me anyhow, very strict and mean, very tough, stern guy. And in that moment last night, I saw through him through a gentler side. I'm sure you've all had moments like this with people in your life. I want you to take a moment right now and to think about a person in your life, maybe a family member or close friends of yours. Once you think of that person, I want you to think about a moment that really revealed who that person was to you. A moment that helped you see a new part of that person, perhaps a hidden part that they keep secret. Once you have your thought, go ahead and write it below. Today I want to teach you that often in life, as in books, the smallest moments are the ones in which characters are revealed. It is important to look past the big dramatic events that can be easily overlooked. Today I want to teach you that often in life and in books, the smallest moments are the ones in which the characters are revealed. It is important to look past the big dramatic events to the more smaller events that are easily overlooked, because these moments can lead you to a deeper understanding of the character. You thought a bit about how this might be true in life, so let's see how this works in Matt de la Pena's story. Think back across the whole story, even the parts we read at the very beginning, and think about all that's happened. The narrator hears about the Murray gym. He asks his father to take him. That first drive to his dad's factory, the cop comes when he sleeps in his car, the early days at the gym, the first time he makes fun of another player, his decision to stop going to the gym, and his decision to go anyway. Watch as I think about smaller moments we may have overlooked. So I'll start thinking back to the moments that might have just raced past the first time. Well, we mentioned how he hears about the gym and how he asks his father to take him, but I wonder if there's any smaller moments here. I'm remembering there was a tiny part that struck me. It was after the narrator first heard about the gym, and he decided to go to the public library to look up where the gym was, so he can make a plan of how he would get there. I remember thinking about the time when a lot of kids would think about doing that, but they wouldn't actually go to the library. It's very cool that the main character actually did that. It's very industrious of him. Okay, so now I'm going to actually look back to the part of the text. Even though I remember that part in general, I find that rereading helps. I notice that the word choice and new details when I reread. I want to learn more about the character by paying attention to those window moments, and also it often helps to look at the tiniest details. So let's take a moment to try that. Proceed instead to the local library and look up the Money Gym. Type that address into Google Earth and you'll discover it's right next to the Air and Space Museum. Your moms took you and your sis to back in the day. And the Air and Space Museum, if your calculations are correct, isn't but 5 miles from your pop's job at the factory. I'm noticing that when he was going to the library, he went to find the location of the gym. He goes to Google Earth. That's smart. And interesting when he notices that the gym is near the Air and Space Museum that he visited earlier that year. Again, a detail that shows he's sort of brainy, right? He must have liked that museum a lot. Just that teeny tiny thought the narrator has when he's trying to locate the gym shows a lot about him. Readers, did you see how I thought back over what happened in the story so far? Then I considered if there were any smaller moments that were worth revisiting. And then I opened up the text and went back to a particular moment, paying attention to the tiny details and looking for new insights about the character. Let's look at that last line again as well. It isn't but 5 miles from your pop's job at the factory. It sounds like he thinks 5 miles isn't even that far. Remember, he ends up walking those 5 miles, but there, he isn't even fazed by that fact. I know my max is about 1 mile if you're forcing me to walk. So I want you to give these steps a try now on your own. Go ahead and open up your book club book or possibly one of your short stories, but I'd prefer your book club book. But go back to a page you've already read and think about a moment you want to revisit to see if you can find any more of these tiny details that you might have missed.